All right, stock dads, welcome to another episode. Look, as we expected in last week's episode, the rally in the stocks have continued to go higher. It doesn't get more bullish than finishing Friday at the week's highs, right? The market has shifted its expectations of a Fed rate hike last week as the CPI data came in below estimates, both on an annual and monthly level. So the low inflation reading was something we anticipated in recent weeks, and now we're back to looking at 50 basis point rate hikes in
Woohoo.
September. And you know what that means? When you get a dovish Fed, you get a bullish market. And I'm psyched. I'm jacked. I'm pumped. I'm ready to start making some trades again. Definitely going long. And speaking of long,
That's what she
we
said.
are joined by a long time, good time, stock dad, stock father. What's up, DJ? How we doing?
Doing well. I thought you were going a little different direction with that intro for a second. I was about to be really I don't know, let's say flattered. Let's
We will always be PG-13 here, my friend.
Yeah, there you go.
Always.
I
It
don't
would
know
have been
these
very,
days.
very incorrect and factually, false, but that's okay. We'll take what we can get. So
I will never tell anybody else a soul. So
No, yeah.
what are we looking at, guys? I mean, let's be honest, right? The pockets are fat. The cash that we've been sitting on is burning a hole in our pockets, right? There's some things that I like to go out there and start wetting my beak in. Matter of fact, I did. Uh, so my biggest thing in the market right now, right, is a semiconductor plays. There's things that I'm looking at like on semiconductor. Very good play on the radar. I mean, even if you look at the charts, looking to break that 71 threshold, that $71 threshold. But I'm actually looking for more of a story, if you will, right? I want more of a story behind my trade here. And what bigger story to get involved in than Intel, who will soon have a manufacturing distribution center here in good old America, making America great again and giving American jobs, right? I mean, listen, when
America.
the Taiwan semiconductors and all those guys over there building chips and shipping them here and having issues with shipping, I mean, we're not going to have that anymore pretty soon. In the next few years, Intel will be the leader of the story of creating jobs and creating semiconductor and chips for us locally here in America. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with owning Intel. It's a great long-term plan. We always go in this debate within the Discord server, and there's always this Team Red versus Team Blue, Intel versus AMD. Which one's better? Who outperforms who? It kind of gets a little gritty sometimes, but personally, I'm Team Red. I'm AMD all the way. But Intel Core, it's a great long-term name. We know it's never going away anytime soon, and now it's got the backing of the federal government. It does pay a good divvy. All around, it's just a really good, solid name to have, especially in a long-term portfolio. And yeah, it's in a downtrend altogether. But if you're dollar cost averaging or selling calls against your shares or anything like that, you should be good either way. There's a lot of things that you can do with that. But yeah, all in all, Intel Core, it's a great story. It's a great company. They got, some headwinds, of course, ahead of themselves, with the competition. But all in all, not too shabby. And you kind of stole the words right out of my mouth with, paying attention to the semiconductors. And I think they're actually at a really reasonable spot here, and even the monthly chart looks pretty interesting, and it's pretty at a reasonable entry to get in on. So I definitely like that idea, and I'm with you through and through as far as paying attention to the semiconductors right now for this week, and maybe further on. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
was
listen,
gonna say I love the I guess Discord, in our own Discord. Between even analysts, where we've got two like consummate professional investors, and they're like going back and forth and discussing. Like, oh, I love Intel as a value investment, and the other guy is much more of a growth investor. It's just it's an interesting, dichotomy, obviously, between Intel and AMD and all those semiconductors. But Intel is definitely probably the most polarizing, I guess, name, because it's the biggest and one of the most longest standing, but it's also one that just doesn't really excite people, and their product is a little maybe lagging behind what it used to. So it's an interesting name to look at one way or the other.
Yep, that's right. I agree. I mean, Intel bouncing off that $35 level a couple of times there in recent weeks. I mean, I got to tell you, it's got to be a strong support level for me. And then I think now it finished at 36, didn't it?
Yep, closed at 36.11.
Yep,
last week.
It's a very good spot for me. So adding shares there, as far as moving catalysts for the week, right? I mean, we are kind of, now that we're done with CPI data and the pendulum starts to swing in the other direction now, right? It's all about, all right, are we going to have a soft landing? What are the Feds going to do? And, I think a big part of this is looking at the key housing data for this upcoming week. Fortunately for the market, it sailed beautifully through the peak earnings season, and we saw a lot of positive guidance for future periods. Contrary to most expectations, right? We all thought that the future guidance was going to look dim for 2023, and we saw a lot of companies kind of say, well, you know what? May not be the story of next year. We may actually come out of this a little ahead, and that painted a very good picture for the markets, and we've been going up ever since. And aside from the housing, this week's a little lighter on the data compared to recent weeks in the past. Therefore, the market's headline risk on the economic front is probably a little bit lower than usual. But there are a few Fed board governors set to speak. So we could look for an additional guidance when it comes to taming that beast of inflation, right?
Yeah, they just can't stop
Fuzz,
talking.
you mentioned this earlier in our conversations. They're meeting. Where are they meeting, Fuzz?
Jackson Hole.
The old Jackson Hole meeting. I mean, like, really, guys? We couldn't think of another name for this place that you guys are all going to meet up at? You got to meet at some hole? Like, I just don't
Out in
understand.
Wyoming.
We gotta change this thing, like the Blue House or something. I don't know. We got to figure it out. But the Jackson Hole, the name has to change. It's incredible.
Yeah, I don't know who came up with that or why they picked that one. That might be a good history lookup, I guess, to see why they went with that spot in that location. But yeah, it's a small town out in Wyoming, out in the mountains. It looks pretty, but yeah, very interesting choice. But yeah, economic calendar out there this next week is pretty tame. Yeah, nothing too terribly crazy,
big.
but
nothing big at all. So now that we're looking as day traders, there are a lot of stocks at some very key levels here. A lot of mentions of Tesla. The way Tesla finished Friday, was looking like it could go either way, right? It's either going to reject or it's going to gap up. So I'm pretty interested to see what Tesla does tomorrow morning when the bell opens. And you told me this before the session started here, that futures looked a little flat.
Yeah, futures are looking a little stale right now, so it'll be kind of interesting to see how the overnight session develops. Europe doesn't open until 3 a.m. Eastern, so we got a little while until Europe opens. Tomorrow's a European bank holiday, and the Asian markets right now are pretty steady here. The Nikkei, which is the Japan index, is green right now, and Shanghai just opened up, and they are a little red, but mainly flat altogether. But all in all, right now, the developments are pretty stale for the most part. And yeah, we are heated. That's for darn sure. I don't know if you're getting into this, but I would love a welcoming pullback.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm looking at the SPY on the charts right now. Seems like it kind of pulled back from that 430, and then the Nasdaq also pulling from the 13,000. So I think that a pullback is probably warranted here. We'll see how far back it goes, but I think that it'll just be a small opportunity for you to start loading into the stocks that you like. I see a comment here by a watcher here, John Benoit. He's getting into this a little bit. He goes, I got Intel, but Micron said that the semiconductors are entering weakening demand. And yeah, he's right. But also on the other side of that, John, they are also building a manufacturing facility here in the United States that they were talking about during that same call. So interesting enough, I think that their forward view is probably pretty as strong as Intel's is for 2023 and 2024. Yeah, and so we are going to see another rate hike. Another question here that just popped up. Yeah, probably 50 basis points, right? They're probably going to slow down the rate hike train, if you will. And they won't be 75 basis points. It'll be 50, but that's still a dovish position, in my opinion, from the Feds when you're thinking about the past few hikes that we've had of 75 basis points. I think that the housing market's going to slow down a little bit, but probably warranted. I'm one of the suckers that bought at the top of the market just recently. So, it's just one of those things. You're like, well, at least I got a good house that I'll be in for the next 25, 30, 40,000 years. So that's cool. So,
Yeah, I was actually
can enjoy.
Yeah, I was super, super close to like just popping my house on the market, just for sale by owner, just to see, what I could get. But I have, I got in like perfect timing, a few years ago. My rate's at 2.75, I think, or something.
Wow.
It's like, I couldn't bring myself to, even if I were to get, 20 above asking, or, more than what I thought I could get. I just couldn't bring myself to I guess put that interest rate on the market.
5.25.
That's basically what I would be at. Yeah. Oh, 5.25. Yeah, that's rough. I mean, you could always refinance down the road.
Yeah, you can always
obviously.
refi. Yeah.
If it ever goes down, do you think?
Yeah,
it's gonna go down
that's
to
the thing.
2% again?
Like people are talking about, oh well, it'll come back down and stuff. Well, not necessarily. I mean, this could be the new baseline. And it could only
2006. I don't know if you guys remember, but like 2006, 2008, it was like 6%, and that was like the norm. That
I was
been
in
the
high
norm
school
for
at
a
that
long
point.
time.
I didn't care at all.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
And that was
you're
before
old. You're
the
old,
housing
Penny.
crash. Yeah.
Ah, wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
you're
right.
old.
I mean,
Yeah,
listen,
you're old.
do you guys know I turned 40 December 1st, so it's a big one for me.
What?
Oh, there you
And
go.
yeah, man, my knees hurt when it rains and shit like that. Like,
You
it's
can-
just part of that age where I
yeah.
didn't think would ever happen.
Yeah.
I go out, I have like 1 or 2 beers, and I have a headache for like 6 hours the next day. It's weird, man. Like I can't even go and have like Sunday fun day with the boys watching football without figuring out how I'm gonna feel on Monday morning when I go back to work.
Oh man, yeah, it's all downhill from there. From what I've heard,
It's terrible.
Man,
you'll
making
have
me
to
look
let us
forward
know
to
how
it.
much it hurts. Like the next day. If it,
I'll let
if
you know when it's about to rain. That's for damn
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, I'd like to trust you more than some of these meteorologists out there. But yeah, no, it'll be it's gonna be an interesting, thing to see if this housing market does come back down to earth. If those interest rates, come back, and I'm sure that they'll soften at some point. I don't know, maybe not down to where they were,
Right.
but we'll just have to wait and see. I guess it's all timing. I mean, and you think about like all these people are like, oh, it's the best time to sell. Well, that also means it's the worst time to buy. So I mean, if you're trying to get out of a house, that means you got to get into another one more than likely. So I mean, you're probably going to overpay on the other side. So it's all really 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other, honestly. But
yeah, and speaking of guidance, right? So during last earnings season, companies within like the energy sector, they raised forward guidance more than the rest of their peers. I don't know if you know this or not, but energy has been taking off recently. And even something that I was in on last week, one of the plays that I took was LNG. Is that right? Yeah, LNG. And LNG is up 8%. And it's just one of those energy plays that I've been watching. And, looking at the energy sector, it's been on fire, right? I mean, it's almost like we can't put it out. So energy last week was one of the best performing sectors. And then right before that was consumer discretionary. It's almost like COVID who, you know? So I started buying stocks into Macy's. Did you guys hear about Macy's, by the way? Guys, let me put this on your radar real quick, because I know you guys, especially the stock father, I know he loves his long-term stocks. So let me put something on your radar. So Macy's came out, and during their earnings report, they said that Toys R Us is going to have a spot in all of their stores in all of the malls.
They're bringing back Toys R Us.
That's a very interesting thing to really take in, because that's a play on December's play, right? On December money. So,
be
if we
interesting.
see a really good Christmas time this year from the consumers, Macy's could be in line to get some pretty big cash flow coming in through their Toys R Us sections.
Yeah, we also got a lot of retail names coming up this week as far as earnings go. We got Walmart. Let's see, who else do we got? I know we got
Just
Walmart
there
for
over the
sure.
weekend.
Home Depot's out there. We got
There
Lowe's, Target, yeah, Ross, BJ's, Kohl's even. So I mean, a lot of retail names are coming out, and that will be interesting to see how they guide going into the fall and winter here. Yeah, definitely very interesting because we know that Walmart issued that very stark warning just randomly out of the blue like 2 weeks ago, and it flushed the market a little bit. And then we had Amazon earnings when Amazon was like, I don't know what you're talking about, Walmart. So there's this interesting fight going on. Yeah, Walmart earnings is going to be a fascinating one for sure to see what the big retail is actually, thinking what's going on right now. So
Right.
Well, I can tell you right now, if
Interesting.
my wife's spending habits are any indicator, Target's going to be just fine. Let's put it that way. Target will be just
That's so
fine.
good.
We just
Yeah.
went there. We went there last night. We're doing a yes day or a yes weekend for my kids, right? Because it's their last weekend before going to school. If you guys are listening, recommend and also very much do not recommend at the same time. It was a lot of fun, but it was wild. But anyways, we went to Target because the kids wanted a toy. So we were like, all right, we'll go get one toy. We ended up spending $500 on like an entire new wardrobe for both children because there were new fall clothes out. And I'm like, this is exactly the reason why Target will always be just fine. So my wife, we're, forget RSI, forget, MACD, all that stuff. Like we need to start like a wives of the stock dads indicator and like just see how Target's doing that way.
Monitor
Because
that
would
spending.
bet you that if
That's
we
next level.
I would
That's
bet
next
you if we
level.
went into our Discord and talked to the guys that Target's gonna be just fine. So
Yeah, I mean, my mom, we shop. So my mom's biggest thing is Black Friday. And so we go to every store on Black Friday. We've kind of pulled that back since COVID, and now we like Black Friday internet shop. Like we just sit in one place and we like get on the line and
Yep.
we're gonna get on Amazon and buy some shit. It's just one of those things, man. It's like, COVID has kind of pulled back a lot of it, but I know now that everything's opening back up again, I'm just really interested to see how that plays out this year fighting COVID. Yeah,
And
what's also, so Perone brings up a very good point here. When's the last time anyone's had an update about anything happening in the Ukraine?
they did that. They hit Crimea at some point, but I think what was his name? President Zelensky said to quit, talking about what they're doing because it's kind of giving away all their secrets and stuff like that. But I saw that there was some kind of interesting debate on Friday in the Discord about the whole Russia Ukraine situation. But I think there's also some stuff going on with the nuclear plant going on. The UN wants to get in, but they're basically turning it into a battlefield from what they're reporting, of course. So I mean, we got to go with what they say, I guess. But yeah, I think it's a really tricky situation, but the U.S. government keeps giving them money. So and weapons
obviously,
and stuff.
Our hearts are out there for the people out there in Ukraine. It's
Yeah,
got to
yeah,
be a
it's
tough
terrible.
situation to have your country invaded by another country like that. And our hearts go out to those people out there, and we wish everybody the utmost safety. Even though that their war does cause us some turmoil in the markets, that doesn't mean that we're not human either, right? We've got big hearts, and we send big love out there to the Ukraine people, and we wish you guys the best. And I hope that it does come to an end pretty soon, because not only is it just bad for humanity, but it's killing the markets too. And it's just all one big thing. And the only reason I know what's happening in the Ukraine is because of what's happening in the markets. But that shouldn't be a thing either, right? That shouldn't be like the foundation of what we feel and trying to understand about what's happening out there. But one thing's for sure, it will end. And when it does, it'll be celebrated across the world for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw something about speaking of Russia, I saw something about Putin and Kim Jong-un are planning on teaming up and working together. To I don't know, that's just a scary thought. Those two.
Well,
loose cannons,
they have their
yeah.
alliances over there. So I mean,
Yeah, no, they were talking about expanding. Like I saw something that Putin sent a letter to Kim Jong Un talking about expanding their partnerships, and it's just crazy stuff, man. But I will say one thing: Zelensky
Send
from
Dennis
Ukraine.
Rodman out there, man. Dennis Rodman loves those guys, man. Like send Dennis Rodman back out there as a UN national, man. Like figure it out.
Yeah, there you go. That's Dennis Rodman of all people, helping us achieve world peace. I will say one thing about Zelensky, and he's a phenomenal leader, but also like during a war like this, he has time to make some badass videos, like high quality videos. Like if you watch his stuff, it's like this dude is like, looking real cool, and he's a badass leader. So props to you guys out there, but. Yeah, for sure. And it's a sad time. It's a scary time, and it's something that it's a bigger picture than just what's going on in the US market. So, hope that people listening remember that and humanize it again, like you said, Penny, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, and to answer your question there, Perone, they do have some kind of agreement there where they are letting ships come out of Ukraine with some of their grain and wheat. So that definitely helps alleviate some of the food issues out there in the world, because we know that Ukraine is pretty much the breadbasket of the world. So yeah, good stuff there. And I think they're working on more talks like that as well. So that definitely helps and shows that, maybe, diplomacy is not all the way done. So
yep. Big shout out. Fuzz, as we wind down the show tonight, tell me something that you're looking for in the markets first thing in the morning. Like when you wake up, what's the very first indice you're looking at?
All right. The main thing for me is definitely, I'm going to use the SPY as my proxy for pretty much everything. But as far as everything goes, big tech is on the board. Semiconductors are on the board. But I also really like Lockheed Martin, ticker symbol LMT. That one is definitely on my radar. It does have a nice little trend line break. If you're in the technical analysis world, we do have a nice little break there on the weekly chart. So I'm looking for continued prices there. So you're shaking your head no. So we got some disagreement.
Penny's
here.
Not loving it.
And
I work for their competitor, right?
I do.
Oh man, you brought this up on purpose because my face was going to turn red. Oh man, I'm a pale guy, bro.
An XLU.
You like Lockheed Martin?
I like Lockheed Martin, yeah. And XLU is almost about to break out into all-time highs.
Look, man, I like it. I like the trade. If you want to make money off those bastards, those people, that's fine. That's fine. That's cool. Do it if you want.
Yeah. Hey, you got to keep emotions out of the market, man. You can't trade. You got to trade like a robot. No emotions.
Like, I can't make a position on this. Fuck these guys. So anyways, Peabody Energy. That's ticker symbol BTU. I'm looking at Peabody Energy for a potential 45% return here. I think that, sitting at the 2340 range and trading in that channel, I'm looking for a breakout here pretty soon. And if the markets open up well and energy keeps being on fire like they have been, we're going to see some big returns on BTU next week. So I'm keeping my eye on the energy play.
Sweet. Yeah. And we also got I know we don't talk about crypto a whole lot, but, to bring it up a little bit here, let's see, Bitcoin, is still kind of stale, but you know what? I think it does have an opportunity to kind of shoot towards 29K. So I'm definitely going to be paying attention to that, which will affect guys like Coin, MSTR, maybe even some of the smaller guys like Hut, Mara, Riot, all those guys. So I'm definitely going to be paying attention to see what happens with Bitcoin. It's been a lagging name out there, just completely lagging behind all the other markets out there. It's just been hot dog water through and through. I'm waiting for it to kind of break through here and push on higher. towards 29K, and if we get that, then that could bode pretty well there for some of you crypto guys out there and people who trade the crypto markets all together.
I can talk a little bit of crypto too. I mean, Ethereum's been leading the recent crypto rally in my opinion.
It has. It's been wild ride for
but
Ethereum.
Remains below a key resistance level. It needs to be cleared in order that to confirm the end of a bear market for me. I mean, this price zone, between the 2200 and the 2400, and unless Ethereum closes above there, this could turn out to be a sucker rally, which means fake out, which means they took your money and you got suckered into it. But it doesn't appear as though a rounding bottom is actually forming on this, which is a pretty bullish pattern. So short-term support on the 16 to 1700 area, and then Ethereum closes below there. That could spell the end of the relief rally, in my opinion. So just be cautious of that level.
With this merger coming up, do you think that's already priced in? You think they're going to be a big sell-off when it happens, or you think it's going to pop from it? What do you think?
Yeah, man, listen, I think that it's good news for Ethereum. I think it'll probably bring in new investors. I'm not sure, since it's just the beginning of this news, on how well that's going to be priced in right now. I think there's still a lot of fears, because when you look at cryptocurrency and you're looking on trading it, the only thing you can really do is trade it by the charts. It's one of the most chartable, chart-reliant thing that's on the market right now. And now that Ethereum has news to follow the bull run here, maybe there's a possibility that you break above it. But until we break above that 2400, I ain't buying.
Right. Yeah, I think it might. I don't know. I think you might see like an initial little sell-off, but I think it does, like you said, bode really well for the longevity of the crypto itself and of Ethereum as a whole. I think is just gonna. I think it might eventually outperform Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin really has a strong hold on the market because of it being the OG. But I don't know. I think Ethereum might eventually surpass it. But
big words from the big stock father.
Hey, that's why they call me the stock father, not the crypto father. So we'll see.
There we go.
Hey, listen, this brings us to the conclusion of our show. Thank you all for coming out. I hope you guys have a safe drive into work, or a safe drive, or a safe walk to your trading station, if you will. Being mindful of hitting that like button. Make sure you like it and subscribe. We got a lot more content coming to you every weekend.
Is that a real sign?
Yeah, you like that?
I thought we put that up on the screen. I was like, that's pretty cool. Now you're pointing at it, and I'm like, man, this is like some high-level technology here. I like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, guys. Hey, y'all have a good night. We'll talk to you guys soon. We'll see you next Sunday.
Thank you guys. And check us out. Go to stockdads.com/plans, and we will, help you on your way if you have any questions.
Yes, sir.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Take care.